am. I'm making a new plan, rearranging my life, and I won't look back ever again.
You ain't see me activated. You better hope that you never see me agitated. I think about my actions, plan them out, evaluated. That's how I end up on the top, man, I'm calculated. My mind's a weapon, my body is the engine. I'm never second guessing, I just do what I was destined. Cause I feel I got the blessing, persistence and obsession. That's how you keep progressing, I already learned that lesson, yeah.
I'm changing who I am. I'm making a new plan, rearranging my life, and I won't look back ever again. You can't stop what's moving.
Hi guys, it's Lizzie again and welcome to my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for keeping posted for everything that I do here, and thank you so much for those who've been supporting me for a while now. If you're new here, this is where we talk about Australia. Anyway, today we are having an exciting video that we are doing on how to move to Australia, or rather how to look for permanent residency while you are still in overseas. Yes, you got me right. That is what we're talking about today. Is just all about how you can acquire the paperwork here while you are still in your country. Maybe you are in overseas, there in Kenya, in Nigeria, in India, in Europe, wherever you might think about outside Australia. You can still come up and apply for permanent residency if you meet the following requirements. Let's do this. So with me here today, as usual, is my laptop, and you guys, you can see I have graduated, rather, I've been promoted, rather, everything is just looking amazing. I have a piece of paper that I've been doing some notes. So most of the time, if I need clarification, I might have to look onto the laptop just to get the right information. So let's do this. So what are the requirements? What do you need to do in case you want to look for permanent residency here in Australia while you are still in overseas? So the first requirement that you need to go and find information about the skilled occupation list. You need to understand, I know I've talked about this on my previous videos, and I will make sure that I attach the links so that in case maybe you have not watched about the skilled occupation list, you'll be enabled to understand more of what it all entails. Anyway, so the first step is you will need to check your qualification and your occupation if it is listed among the SOL, skilled occupation list. So the skilled occupation list contains all the courses, rather all the occupations that they have given the first priority in applying, they can help you to apply for the permanent residency here. That means even for those who are in Australia, their courses, rather their occupation, need to be among the SOL list. All right, so that is the first thing. If I was you, the first thing I will do is to jump onto the website and check the SOL. Again, after that, immediately you will get all the occupations. Sometimes it's kind of confusing because let's say you are a social worker, as I am. With a social worker, you could be working with families, you could be working with children, you could be working in prison, you could be working in hospital, you could be working anywhere in the community. So when you are searching, at some point you might get a little bit confused because it will give you more information, and sometimes you become really overwhelmed because you don't know where you stand. So what I will ask you to do after that, make sure you follow the score. I will make sure that I attach a video here so that you can see how we do that. So when you log onto, or rather when you jump onto the Google, search for the SOL, skilled occupation list, it will bring everything, especially if you go directly to the Home Affairs website with for the skilled assessment list. It will bring everything that it entails with the occupation that you're looking for. Let's say you are a registered nurse. What you will need to write on the search bar is just a registered nurse, and then it will bring all the information about the registered nurse on different categories. There are those one working with children, there are those one working in disabilities and aged care sector, there are those one working in hospitals. So it will bring everything in different categories. You just need to identify your position in all the listed field. So how do you determine, because sometimes it's kind of like confusing, how do you determine if this is the right SOL, but rather this is the right field for you, like how you're gonna do it? So the first thing is this. One thing, after you are on the SOL list, you are going to see the ANSCO code. So once you search your course, let's say you're searching for this social worker or maybe a registered nurse, you will see there's an ANSCO code there. So you need to click on the ANSCO code. With the ANSCO code, it will give you more of the information about your role and the clarification of that given code. So let's say maybe it's for working with kids, so it will tell you the roles and the responsibilities, including the tasks that you as either support worker or the social worker or the community worker or the nurse, it will tell you your roles and responsibility, and it can be easy for you to kind of just compare and see where you fit. So that is very crucial. So before you proceed on to anything, because now you have seen, you meet the first eligibility, you have realized that you are among you already have the first requirement for you to apply for permanent residency here. What do you do next? So I would ask you to first sit back and relax, because to be honest, it is a long process. It requires you to do a lot of research before you can jump onto, conclusion that you can qualify for this. So the next thing that, if I were you, I will make sure that I check if I'm eligible to apply for permanent residency here in Australia. What do I mean by this? So what I mean by this is there are so many requirements that the immigration has put forward for anyone who is applying for permanent residency here in Australia. They have to meet before they can actually be granted that PR, we call it that way. So the first thing is the age factor. Let's say maybe you are now at your 50s and you're looking forward to moving here. You meet all the first requirement of your career and your qualification, but you're 50 years of age. What does this mean? What does this mean to you? Like, how will this affect you? You will need to understand the criteria and the eligibility requirement for anyone to apply for these permanent residency. Should you be in Australia or outside Australia? So the first thing is you need to understand there's an age limit cut, and anyone within 44 years and below, they can actually qualify to apply for permanent residency. But once you clock 45, then you will not be eligible to apply for permanent residency here in Australia. I know there's some exemptional, but I'm not going to go into that because it serves a very small percentage of maybe 0.01% of people. So yeah, go onto your age bracket, see if you're eligible, check your character, check your health requirement, because these are among the things that if you don't meet, they will eventually, it will just be like a waste of time and resources and money. Yeah, so check your eligibility requirement. Anywho, we are now done with your eligibility requirement, and you think like, oh wow, Lizzie, I believe I'm a potential applicant to apply for this permanent residency. So what do we do next? So once you have collected the first information about yourself, about the qualification that you have as a person, and you have a very strong what do we call potential to apply for this application, then make sure you check all the assessing authorities that are under your occupation. For why I say this, why I mean with all, because let's say for social work, we only have ASW, Australian Association of Social Workers. But again, there's some exemption where some people can use Aqua to do the assessment. So you need to know exactly which one is the right assessing authority for you as a person with your qualification. Let's say the engineers, I know there's engineers Australia, but yes, engineer is all different. There's civil engineering, there's mechanical, and there's all sort of different engineering. You need to understand which specifically assessing authority will be required to determine to help you with the skill assessment. Why do we do the skill assessment? Is because of this. If you are in overseas, rather if you're in Australia, we have this body that regulates and assess different field of occupation. Like let's say the nurses and the doctors and the midwife, they are being assessed by a given body, or maybe a social worker, they're being assessed by a given body. This is just to ensure that they meet all the criteria and the requirements that they have set as a standard for them to practice in that given field. Okay, so some people, maybe you have studied previously in overseas and they don't know much about what you studied for, because they were not there. They cannot just judge by the result and maybe the result slip and maybe certificates that you provided. So for them to be sure with what you have done, is they need to run assessment to check if you meet the qualification compared to what is offered here in Australia, so that you can actually meet the position offered here and you can be a best candidate for whatever the position is being advertised here, or rather live here and work in that specific field. Clap for me. So let's move on. So once you identify the authority, the assessing authority, go onto their website, check what are the requirements, what do they need prior or before you proceed with the applying for the assessment. What do they actually need? So for instance, let me just use my career. So for social workers, they will need all attached documents of your universities. They must be all certified. You're not going to scan and send, you will send the hard copies of the original scanned copies. So you will go and scan the original copies, they should be colored, and then take to whoever, maybe the justice of chief or the lawyers or whoever certify the documents in your country. They will certify them, and then you will attach there's an ASW form that you'll need to fill. This ASW, you need to explain your responsibility of what you've been doing. It's like you are giving which is like a cover resume of what you've been doing in terms of the career pathway of what you are looking assessment for. So you will also attach some other supporting document. Let's say maybe you are applying for master's level and previously you have done a bachelor's or maybe a diploma. You need to attach all prior experiences documents to support this qualification that you have at the moment. So you will need just to go to their website to get the clarification of all the documents they might require from you. I know it looks something easy, but to be honest, it is really hard, because if you don't like doing research, it will sound like it's really hard. But if you're someone who is onto the research and you like getting information and you like empowering yourself, then this is something that you can give it a go, and I know you will smash it. Anyway, so after the skill assessment, you will definitely lodge for the skill assessment. You can even communicate to them, you can call them, you can email them, they will help you on the process. I would always encourage people to do the skill assessment by themselves, because it is something that is very straightforward. It is not, there is no that, if you follow what has been given on the website, it's just something that you can actually achieve. So in case you need clarification, just reach on them, ask them, email them, ask them, what do you mean by this? Or maybe just give them a call, because they're always available to serve you. So once you are done, you will check how much you need to pay all that money, take your documents, and then if you need to send the documents to Australia, then you will have to send the documents to wherever the assessing authority office is. So after that, let's say you get a positive skill assessment, because that is what everyone wishes for. That is like the 80% workload already done. Once you get that, you are almost there, because once that is all that you need. Actually, I feel like that is the first thing that you need for you to apply for the permanent residency. So once you get the assessment, once it comes out and it's positive, wow, calculate for your points. With the permanent residency, it is a visa. So there are different visas that stand for permanent residency. There's 190 subclass, there's 189. I know there's a 491, but that just leads to the PR. But yes, calculate, go on to the Home Affairs page, check 190. What are the requirements? How many points do you need? What are the, what are other requirements that you could, maybe they need from you? How much do they charge? You need to know all these things. So calculate, go on to the point calculation and calculate if maybe it's 189, and the 189 is another PR visa pathway, or rather PR visa. So I know it requires about 65 or rather 70 points here in South Australia. Check, because all different states could be requiring different points. So make sure that you are meeting the right qualifications as per what the state is requiring for. So calculate with the point calculator. They check your age. If you fall onto certain age and certain age, you get certain points. So they will check your qualification. If maybe you've done a bachelor's or maybe you've done a master's, it gives you specific points. Maybe you have proficiency in English, or maybe you're you're competent. It gives you a certain point. Anyway, I know if you guys can follow what I have asked you to do, or rather the information I've given you, this will be the first point, rather the first part of you to apply for permanent residency here in Australia. What I will do, I will come back and do a second session. Now, how do you move from having a positive assessment and having calculated your points and you feel like you meet the requirement points? So I will come back and do a second part just to help you understand the process after that. Anyway, thank you so much for the people who support me, and if you feel that what we talk here, or rather this video, is more informative, just give it a thumbs up. Let me know what you think about, leave a comment, leave a question, and until next time, I will see you soon as I am doing the next part of this video. Thank you so much. You have a good time.